Today, we'll find out how each state trended for president between 1944 and 2024. Last week, we just took a look at the shifts in each state. Today, we'll compare those shifts to the national popular vote shift, and that'll get us the trends. We'll break it all down in just a minute. But first, let's put up the background information. In 1944, that was Roosevelt's fourth win. He got another landslide at 432 electoral votes out of 36 states, and he got 53.4%. Thomas Dewey took the loss for the Republicans. He got 99 electoral votes out of 12 states, and that was worth 45.9%. Then we've got 24 up there. I'm not going to go over it. We cover it every time. That is going to take us onto the spreadsheet. On the left, we've got the states. Then it's the 44 vote for Roosevelt, then for Dewey, then the 24 vote for Harris, then Trump, then the margin at 44 shaded accordingly, then the same thing for 24. Then we've got the column from last week, the shifts or the swings in each state. That's just the difference between the two previous columns. And all the way on the right, we've got the trends. This will compare the previous column to the national popular vote, and that'll get us the trends. There's also shading in these two columns. The darkest colors are over 10%, the lightest are under 5. So to get our baseline, we first got to get our national popular vote. So again at 44, FDR got 53.4, Dewey got 45.9, in 24, Harris got 48.3, Trump won it with 49.8. The margin for Roosevelt at 44 was 7.5. The margin for Trump at 24 was 1.5. That's 7.5 away from the Dems, another 1.5 toward the Republicans. You combine those, you get a net national popular vote swing of 9%. So anything that swung more than 9% toward Trump is going to have a red trend. Anything less than that or in the other direction is going to have a blue trend. Let's start in Alabama. In 1944, Roosevelt carried the state with 81.3. Dewey got 18.2. In 24, Harris went down to 34.1. Trump went up to 64.6. The margin for Roosevelt in 44 was 63.1. And the margin for Trump in 24 was 30.5. At 63.1 away from the Dems, another 30.5 toward the Republicans. You combine those numbers, that comes out to a big red swing of 93.6. And that percent is way above the national popular vote swing. So 93.6 minus 9% gives Alabama a red trend of 84.6. So that's how this works. Let's quickly go through the rest of the states. Arizona was also redder at 14.5. Arkansas way up there at 61.8. Then we've got blue trends. It's California at 15.7. Colorado 26.8. Connecticut 18.1. And Delaware 14.6. Then it got redder in Florida at 44.7. Georgia 56.6. And Idaho at even 31. Illinois trended toward the left at 16.5. Indiana trended toward the right at 4.2. Iowa had the smallest trend out of all the states. It swung toward the right, but not quite enough to keep up with that 9% nationally. That gives it a tiny blue trend of just 0.3%. Kansas was a lot bluer at 13.9. Then it was redder in Kentucky at 30.8 and Louisiana 74.2. Then trends friendly toward the Dems are Maine at 20.8, Maryland 33.8, Massachusetts 28.4, Michigan 6.6, and Minnesota 7.5. Mississippi had the biggest red trend out of all the states, coming in at a gigantic 101.1. Missouri same direction but way less at 12.4. Montana a little bit more at 20.3. Nebraska bluer at 5.6. Nevada redder at 3.3. Then it was bluer in New Hampshire at 7.7. New Jersey 13.6. New Mexico 7.9. And New York 16.5. Back toward the right, we've got North Carolina 27.6. North Dakota 22.2. Ohio a mild 1.6. And Oklahoma back up at 36.7. Then in the other direction, it's Oregon at 18.4. Pennsylvania 4.6. And Rhode Island 5.4. Then toward the GOP, it's South Carolina at a major 91.9. South Dakota, a milder 3.6. Tennessee, 42. Texas, 59.5. And Utah, 33.2. Vermont had the biggest blue trend out of all the states, coming in at a big 54.7. Virginia was double digits toward the Republicans at 10.3. Washington, other direction, 12.6. West Virginia, redder at 42.7. Wisconsin, bluer at 9.9. And Wyoming, again redder at 39.2. So those are all the states and all the trends. Now let's take all this data and help visualize it by putting it on a map. If we do that, here's what we've got. And there's similar shading here. The darkest colors are over 10. This time, the very lightest colors are under 1%. That's the tilt margin. There's just one state, that's Iowa. So 4 levels of shading. And at the top, using the current electoral vote map, you can see states that trended toward the Dems total 267. For the Republicans, it's 261. So very close, slight edge toward the left. And what are the takeaways here? Well, we see a familiar looking pattern here. Much of the South and the upper Great Plains and some of the western states, those are way redder. center, but the exceptions are Nebraska and Kansas, while states that went toward the left are easily the West Coast and the Northeast. The Rust Belt states also all went toward the Dems, but on this one you have southern states that used to be more Republican like Virginia, they trended solidly red. Also South Dakota couldn't keep up with North Dakota, but New Hampshire and Rhode Island, those states trended toward the left, but not nearly as much as the dark blue states around them, similar with Indiana and Ohio in the Midwest. But Iowa might be the state that stands out. It swung almost 9% toward the Republicans, just not quite enough to keep up with that national popular vote, so it had a blue trend. But overall, between these 80 years, Iowa pretty much kept up with the mood of the country. Many of the states in the Deep South had colossal movement toward the right, but when you're spanning 8 decades like this, you're going to get some wild swings at different movements, sometimes for different reasons across different states. So I think that's going to be it for this one. These are the presidential trends in each state between 1944 and 2024. This might be as far back as I'm going to go, but let me know in the comments. What do you think about any of the data on this map? Which 3 or 4 states stand out to you the most? What do you think is going to change in the future? Let me know down below on your way out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to support the channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.